Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today for today's video. I want to make sure my freaking shirt is clean, and it's not. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today for today's video. I want to cover some of the latest around the Tesla story. This summer is really poised to be one of Tesla's best, if not the best in its history. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start by covering some of the latest from cars.com. They just came out with an American-made index for 2023. This has been making the rounds in the sort of Tesla investing community and the broader auto market. But there's some data on here that I think really speaks to how well Tesla is positioned for the rest of the decade. So this lists from 1 to 10 the top 10 most American-made cars in the United States, starting with the Tesla Model Y, followed by the Tesla Model 3, the Tesla Model X, and then the Tesla Model S. Then you have a couple Hondas on the list, a few Acuras, and the Volkswagen ID4. Now, what's really interesting about this list is that Tesla's entire lineup is the most American-made. It's not just one car, it's all four cars that they manufacture are the top four most American-made cars for the American market. And Tesla is also the only American automaker in the top 10. So if I go back to the list, you'll see that Tesla is the only manufacturer that's actually based and headquartered in the United States. Honda is in Japan, so is Acura, which is a subsidiary of Honda, and then you have Volkswagen, which is based out of Europe. So it's super interesting to see that the most American-made car is the only American car in the top 10. It's very not well known. I still think there is a thing that Tesla is somehow not American, but I think this list from cars.com shows just how much localization of the manufacturing and the supply chain Tesla has done in the last 10 years to be able to achieve such a feat. So huge congratulations to the Tesla team. Tesla's Americanness truly is vastly underrated, and it's something that I want to dig a little bit deeper for this video, plus other things to really outline just how big of a storyline Tesla has for the rest of the summer and how this could really change the tune of the car company for the masses and the adoption of their cars and electric vehicles in general. It's a big deal in a deglobalized supply chain. And so what I mean by this is since COVID has happened, we've seen a trend of companies trying to bring more stuff, localizing their supply chain and their parts and their manufacturing plants to their local economies in Europe, in the United States, given some of the failings China had from their shutdowns and all those things. So there's a lot of momentum behind moving stuff locally. And this is, I believe, a trend for the rest of the decade that's going to bode well for companies that can say, hey, our supply chain is local, in this case, American. And I think Tesla's uniquely positioned to take advantage of this trend. Now, where this gets very interesting is with the Cybertruck nearing its launch in the next few months here. This is a picture that Sawyer Merritt has posted on Twitter. The man that never sleeps is what I call him. 2 Cybertrucks spotted on the freeway. And of course, you can see that these cars are getting closer and closer to being released to the wild so that people can actually take delivery. And I think this whole American thing is going to play really well to this release in the next couple months. Why is that? If you look at the list here for Model Y, Model 3, Model X, and Model S, you'll see that, again, the top 4 cars are Teslas. But what's likely to happen is once the Cybertruck is launched, Cybertruck's probably going to be number 1. And why is that? So for the last few years, Tesla has taken a lot of steps to, again, bring a lot of stuff locally to the United States and the regions where they build their cars in Europe and China and the rest of the world as well. And given that Cybertruck will likely be number 1 due to the improved localization of supply chains and the manufacturing processes, a big question appears. What about the Ford F-150? What about the Ram 1500? What about the Chevy Silverado, etc., etc.? These are vehicles that are the most popular in the United States. The pickup truck is a uniquely American segment. And if you really dig deep into the numbers, you'll know that the Ford F-Series is the best-selling vehicle for the last 36 years in the United States. That's such a long time. That is such a long time. But it's not well known that these trucks, if again we look at that list, they're nowhere to be seen. And so a uniquely American vehicle is not really the most American made. And now the Cybertruck will be able to claim this most likely once it launches in the third quarter of this year. Now, what's additionally interesting about the Cybertruck is that there's been some recent comments from Jim Farley, who's the Ford CEO, and here is a tweet from Sawyer Merritt encapsulating what he said. If he, in this case Elon Musk, wants to design a Cybertruck for Silicon Valley people, fine. It's like a cool high-end product parked in front of a hotel. I make trucks for real people who do real work. So we have Cybertruck's biggest competitor, in this case, potentially the F-150, coming out and saying, hey, don't worry about this one too much. It might be cool, it might sell well, but we do it better. We know what the customer wants. So I've said a lot of nice things about Jim Farley, and I continue to think he's a phenomenal CEO, but we have to be very careful. In this case, I think Ford has to be really careful not to get complacent around here, because this could be a sign of history repeating itself and really undermining just how big of a deal Cybertruck is to Tesla and the broader pickup truck market. I want to play you a clip from a long time ago about a very famous executive in the phone market. But before I do that, I would love it if you throw me a like. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this to more people. Thank you so much. And I think some of you already know what video I'm talking about. In case you've missed it, this is Steve Ballmer talking about the iPhone's imminent launch back in 2007, 2008. Steve Ballmer was the CEO of Microsoft at the time, and so I want you to pay very close attention to what he says about the iPhone and see if you can draw some parallels between that and what Ford is saying about the Cybertruck. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Steve, let me ask you about the iPhone and the Zune, if I may. The Zune was getting some traction, then Steve Jobs goes to Macworld and he pulls out this iPhone. What was your first reaction when you saw that?
$500 fully subsidized with a plan? I said, that is the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard, which makes it not a very good email machine. Now, it may sell very well or not. We have our strategy. We've got great Windows mobile devices in the market today. You can get a Motorola Q phone now for $99. It's a very capable machine. It'll do music. It'll do internet. It'll do email. It'll do instant messaging. So I kind of look at that and I say, well, I like our strategy. I like it a lot.
And again, that video is almost 20 years old. It's just, it's mind-blowing to me how often history seems to repeat itself. This is, again, where Jim Farley and Ford have to be very, very careful. And the reason why is if the F-Series is truly a work truck, if it's something that's designed for people to get real work done, businesses, individuals, entrepreneurs, why would anyone bypass the lower running costs in a Cybertruck in this case, right? One of the big benefits with an electric vehicle is the much lower running costs and the maintenance cost as well. Electricity cost is about 1/4 of the fuel cost of a traditional gas car if you look at any EV versus like-for-like class vehicles on the gas segment side. So if you take a Model 3 versus a BMW 3 Series, per mile, the Model 3 is going to be about 1/4 of the cost to run from a fuel perspective than the 3 Series. And this holds relatively true throughout the entire EV segment versus its gas car competitors. And again, electric vehicles have little to no maintenance. There is no oil change, there is no fuel filter, there's no catalytic converter, there's no transmission, there's no engine, and all the other moving parts. So from a work person's perspective, wouldn't the Cybertruck actually make more sense on a per mile basis? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Ford has to be really careful not to repeat history. I think that the work person, the everyday work person who's out there trying to basically squeeze as much profit out of their business, they will automatically default to something that's going to help them achieve the same exact thing, but for lower costs. And things like maybe the look of the truck or, the whole weird triangle shape, I don't think is going to be nearly as big of a deal for people who really care about costs. Looks don't matter whatsoever in those equations, I believe. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But there's so much more going on for Tesla, right? So the video here is Tesla setting up for a huge summer. We're talking about the Cybertruck and how big of a difference this is going to make. But there's so much more going on that's really setting up the summer for Tesla to just go gangbusters. And let's go through a few of them. So Roland Percher on Twitter shared this stat here. In these countries, Tesla has already sold more cars year to date than it did all of last year. This is dated June 19th. You got a whole lot of countries, basically half of Europe on there. And then you throw on top of that Spain, Greece, Croatia, Estonia. With the release of delivery numbers from June, there will be some more to be added to this list. And so what it's looking like is that Tesla Europe is setting records for the second quarter of 2023. China and America, the American continent, really North America, is doing the same exact thing as well, which is setting the second quarter of 2023, which the deliveries will be reported probably in the first couple of days of July. It's setting up to be a record-breaking quarter. Q2 will be a record quarter for Tesla with about 440,000 to 450,000 deliveries, most likely in the quarter. That's about a 4 to 6% growth over the first quarter of 2023 and a crazy 80% growth over the second quarter of 2022. What's important to highlight here is that last year, Q2, Tesla was dealing with some of the shutdowns in China for their Shanghai plant, which allowed them to only sell 250,000 cars in the quarter. And so 450,000 cars the next year will be an 80% growth. So it's very important to highlight that. But again, pretty crazy growth if you really think about it. In addition to that, you have Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, making the rounds, meeting with a bunch of different world leaders. He met with the French leader. He met with other leaders as well. Here, he's meeting with the Prime Minister of India. And there's a lot of talk, basically Elon Musk confirming in a way that Tesla will be building a factory in India or some form of project probably by next year. So this is a huge thing that Tesla's working on their quest to sell 20 million cars per year by 2030. So one shouldn't be surprised that all these conversations are happening around the world. On top of that, you have Ford, GM, Rivian, and the charging networks adopting Tesla's charging standard. I'm sure you've heard of this already many times. If you follow the auto market closely, all these car companies are going to start using Tesla's plug so that everybody can start using Tesla's supercharger network, their charging network, which means Tesla's going to essentially be its own gas station and make money from that as well. Something very few people thought would be possible. Then you also have companies like Hyundai from Sawyer Merritt says it's considering joining Tesla's North American Charging Standard Alliance, which is yet another big automaker, which is Hyundai and Kia. They're both part of the Hyundai group, which have the Kia EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the 6 that's brand new that are going to start using this as well. So there's continued momentum for people to use Tesla's plug. And then you have the ramp up of Tesla's AI division, which just created a Twitter account on Twitter talking about how much they're going to be ramping their compute power for their full self-driving software, something very few people are giving Tesla credit for, which is their AI ambitions. And so this is a graph basically showing their compute power is going to 30x or so in the next year and a half or so. And then this is, I think, loosely shown by the fact that Tesla's full self-driving software has so quickly been changing in the last few weeks. It's been improving very, very rapidly. We've just seen versions go from 11.42 to 0.3 to 0.4 in the span of a few weeks, which is much more accelerated. And Elon Musk himself has talked about how Tesla is improving the acceleration of their software development. And then on top of that, you have China has announced it will extend the tax incentive for new energy vehicles, which is scheduled to expire at the end of the year. And so Tesla and other automakers in China will benefit from this. So if there was any doubt around Tesla not being able to sell anything, which I think is incorrect given the huge sales Tesla had in Q1 and how it's going to break another record in Q2, if there was any doubt about that, there's continued momentum for Tesla to keep selling their cars. And then on top of that, you have a new car award for 2023, which makes the Tesla Model Y the best car for families. This is from Auto Trader, a car magazine, a car publication that covers the auto segment in the United States. Model Y just won an award. And on top of that, Tesla has won a $390 million contract to supply 224 megapack 2XL units in Western Australia. This is Tesla Energy's division, which again, a lot of people don't really talk about. And this is something about the solar panels and the batteries coming together and Tesla becoming its own utility. No one's talking about that. And then on top of that, you have Giga Mexico, which is a factory that's going to be opening and breaking ground here very soon, probably in the next 6 weeks or so. This factory is probably going to sell roughly 2 million cars per year once it's fully ramped. Curious to see what that's going to do to the Tesla story. And on top of that, you have the Tesla Cybertruck, this crazy looking thing that I've seen in person more than once and going to shock the world, man. I really think it's going to shock the world and the world's not ready for this thing. I wonder if that is what's causing the Tesla stock to go up. So in the last month or so, Tesla stock is up about 40%. And if we look at the last 6 months or so, year to date, the stock is up 142%, given its almost record lows. It was at $100 at the beginning of the year. But since then, the stock has gone up 142%. It's not just Tesla. A lot of names have been going up a lot, but Tesla has taken advantage of, I guess, the kind of market conditions that we're in. So the summer is looking mighty good for Tesla. And so I really do think Tesla's summer is one for the history books. It's really gearing up to be a historic time period for Tesla. So many positive news for the story and so many new developments to come down the line. We're going to have to wait and see how the rest of the year shapes up from an economic outlook and an economic perspective. But it really does seem like Tesla is hitting on all cylinders, and there might be some surprises down the pike here as well that some people might be, I don't know, not expecting, and all of a sudden we have a Tesla bot prototype. We have the completion of full self-driving software. We have the announcement of a new gigafactory potentially somewhere in the world. But yeah, it feels like something is happening. But again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just covering what's going on, and it seems like Tesla is really riding a ton of positive news, and who knows, it might continue for the rest of the summer. But I'd love to hear what you have to say, so in the comment section below, let me know if you agree, if you disagree. All comments are welcome. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and if you'd like to support the channel, I have a link for Athletic Greens in my description below, where you can use my coupon to get free travel packs and free vitamin D with your purchase, something I've been using for years, every single day, and it truly has made a difference in my life. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And with that, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you want to see more videos from me, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. I hope this was informative and helpful. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.